think he wants to come to New York? And if he doesn't win 2 Super Bowls, we are all literally going to hate him.
Yeah, look at the pressure Eli was under just from being related to Peyton. So
Giants fans literally still hate Eli Manning because of how his career ended, and he won us 2 Super Bowls. Like, it's so insane. It has to stop. The Arch Manning stuff has to stop. We can get Garrett Nussmeier, we can get Aller, we can get any other quarterback next year. It's not going to be Arch Manning. But I agree that the schedule is going to be tough this year. I don't think that even if we have Aaron Rodgers, we're going to win 10 games. So I would like to see at least the defense make some plays and be good this year.
Yeah. Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the Arch Manning stuff is ridiculous. And actually, to Adriana's point, I always find it funny when people act like the Giants have some sort of claim. Why don't the Colts or the Broncos have the same claim? Or the Saints, where Archie played? There's a lot of teams that have that same claim. In fact, I would even argue because he's playing, he's Saints, like, makes a lot of sense. But he's just going to get drafted wherever he gets drafted. And the Giants shouldn't be waiting for the opportunity to draft Arch Manning. Just go ahead. And if you draft a quarterback this year and you don't like him, you draft another one. I've made that stance of mine very clear many times before. You have to throw darts at the board for the quarterback position. They got to draft a quarterback at some point in this draft. And then for everything else, whether it's stacking the defense through the draft or whatever, just draft the best player available, and those things will happen naturally. When you try to force it and you try to force for need and you try to say, okay, I'm going to draft this position in this round and this position in this round, that's how you get the product that the Giants have had for the last 10 years. Those are the 2 things that I'm super adamant about. You can't wait for the quarterback, and you cannot draft for need. So just keep drafting best player available. The Giants haven't done that nearly enough, in my opinion, as Chris and I have argued against one another about in recent episodes, but I just think that's the only strategy that makes sense for this team. And I will say this.
What have we argued about? What have we argued about?
We've had a disagreement on how much the Giants draft for need or don't. We've disagreed.
I think there's some legitimacy to that. I think it's a little bit overblown with the early rounds. Yeah.
But what I will say, to Joe Schoen's credit, I think he's done a good job filling in a lot of needs so far through the first few days of free agency. So I have a little glimmer of hope in me that he's doing this to set it up so he can just go best player available in every round of the drafts outside of getting the quarterback, which is what I'd like to see happen. So I will give him credit there.
Yeah. Oh, Bad Dog's gone.
I think it's up to you, Chris.
I will piggy. I was just looking at Anthony the whole time. I will piggyback off of what you had to say. As far a lot of what you guys had to say. Listen, I'm completely open to Abdul Carter. First off, let's start there. I don't think he's going to get to us, but it's possible. The more that you're hearing about Cam Ward potentially going 1, I'm still thinking he won't, but I'm starting to be more open to that being a strong possibility. It's entirely possible that with Myles Garrett already on that team, they could go Travis Hunter at 2. And then all of a sudden you're staring at the guy who I feel is the best player in this draft. And then it comes down to, do you want to go Shedeur Sanders or do you want to go with Abdul Carter? And I'm not even saying I would be in favor of taking Shedeur Sanders in that scenario. I just think Joe Schoen would. But Abdul Carter would be my guy. I'm not against this idea of punting on the quarterback position. If you don't love one here with one of these, with the 3rd overall pick, maybe taking one day 3, whatever it may be. I'm not against that idea. I just don't think Joe Schoen's going to do it for all the reasons that I've expressed on this show, that I think what gives him the best chance to be able to keep his job is to draft a rookie quarterback this year, and he doesn't know where he's going to be picking in the fuure. So that's my mindset. As far as the Arch Manning stuff goes, I actually think Arch Manning's a really good player, and it has nothing to do with the fact that his last name's a Manning. But to Adriana's point, and Anthony as well, you can't stick around, especially if you're Joe Schoen, and just be like, oh, yeah, let's win 4 games this year so we have a chance to draft a guy that we don't even know if he's going to come out to begin with, and I won't be the GM that gets to pick him. So that's not going to happen. It's just completely unrealistic that the Giants are just going to tank so they can get Arch Manning. You have a GM that's on the hot seat. He knows it. I'm not saying he's got to make the playoffs this year, but the team has to show some progression, and there's not even a guarantee that Arch is going to come out. You're talking about the Manning name. You see what some of these college athletes make today. There's no pressure for him. He already has a lot of money in the bank anyway with the family that he's with. I'm sure he's making a lot of money at the collegiate level. So I don't see any pressure for him to come out. You can't bank on that if you're the New York Giants.
Right. So I had to visit the press box before you answered.